At the end of the day, I think everybody makes mistakes. This is the kind of backlash that can come about. It shook me a lot. I'm a great sucker for deals. Made many mistakes on those random products people sell you, and then they turn out to be such duds, and then you regret it. I expected that he has this flawless skin because he's doing so many things.
Yeah.
Turned out he was doing nothing.
I think that's the trick.
And then I have all of these things, and like, I'm not the one on camera.
Meera, welcome to Spill the Tea on Film Companion.
Thank you. I'm so excited to do this. Like, having been a nerd on Film Companion, now to be here, it's quite cool.
I have to tell you, I've genuinely been a huge admirer of your journey into the public life on your own terms. I've somehow
Thank
just
you.
watched from the sidelines and just admired. Congratulations on A Kind.
Thank you.
You launched last week.
Yes.
Have you figured out what kind of entrepreneur you are?
I would say I'm the kind of entrepreneur who's always had that fire in me. I've known for a while that this is the space that I'd like to be in, which means building something out that has a very tangible connection with its end consumer. I think over the years, having had that opportunity to somewhere be a part of a consumer's life in terms of recommending, suggesting, advising, and then taking on, like a brand ambassador's role and things like that, which I took very seriously because I would never endorse a brand that I don't necessarily believe in. And I like to get to know exactly what I'm doing. Like, I need to know the product inside out. And now to finally have something of my own where, from formulations to packaging to, visual imagery, it's all come together in a space that is very close to me, which is beauty and self-care.
What are the kind of decisions you've had to make in the last month?
I still remember before our first meeting, I actually put together a deck myself.
Oh,
I was like, I'm going to put this deck together, knowing that they're going to present something to me. But I said, I need to put my thoughts down.
so what was on it? Like,
What was on it? Things like, what is the brand philosophy? What is the brand vision? Who are we speaking to?
Did you have fun making this?
I loved it. I made it in this office.
no way.
Even things like products that I feel a combination of these two, because I couldn't really find it. The sunscreen primer was born out of my idea of the fact that people don't wear sunscreen because their makeup gets ruined. So I was like, let's make
feel you,
this
sister.
sunscreen primer. And to that meeting, I took an entire bag of benchmark products. And I was like, okay. And they were all in different Ziplocs, from cleansers to moisturizer to makeup to body care, oil, why I like this, why I don't like this, what I like about it. And then we got into formulation, we got into seeing what is out there in the market, and then also trying to find the right balance between what does A Kind stand for, my philosophy, and what the end consumer really needs.
Yeah.
And that whole process, which translated to packaging, picking Pantone shades, the name, all the different SKUs that we're going to launch with, and launching
I'm
with
not going
9
to
is,
pretend like I know what an SKU is.
in like layman's language, the number of products you drop.
But also in a wave where there's no dearth of skincare in the market, and suddenly there's a lot of celebrity skincare as well. I want to know what for you were non-negotiables when it came to what you didn't want to do with this brand.
I definitely didn't want it to be inauthentic. And I think that's where Tira and I were on the same page from day one. This was going to be extremely authentic to who I am and my philosophy, something that has been chronicled on my social media for the last, 4 or 5 years. I don't know when I joined. My less is more philosophy, staying away from aggressive consumerism, which is you need 12 things and you need all of them and you better get it now. It's taking a much more gentle approach. It's trying to say that we're on this journey with you. You can build your own routine, what works for you, switch it up if your skin is asking for something else. That's why it's listen to your skin. And quality was a non-negotiable. Again, something that Tira and I were, on the same page with. Like I keep saying, Tira and Meera are best friends because we think the same.
What are some of your skincare mistakes that we get to learn from because you made them and now we benefit with a kind?
Okay, so I'm gonna save the most, the one that has troubled me the most for last because I think everybody knows about it. The first mistake I made, for which the solution is low and slow.
Okay.
If you start with anything new in terms of an active, go low and slow. You can start with something and saying, I want, 20% vitamin C, but you don't know how that's going to react on your face and it could just disrupt your skin barrier. It could burn your skin. It could be unsuitable and you're left with PIH and PIE and now you're like, now I have to solve for a problem that I never really had in the first place. The second mistake I made was oils. During COVID, everyone's sitting at home and I started doing these face massages and I needed something with a slip. So I started using face oils. I loved it. I didn't realize 2 months later I had such congested skin. And that's because of the oils.
Oh.
And it was a big mistake. I realized that oils don't work for me. And the third one was tretinoin. So retinol is fine with me, low and slow. But tretinoin was so harsh on my face and my skin, forget disrupting my skin barrier, it destroyed my skin barrier. I was in a big mess with that.
I love how you said Tira and Meera are best friends, and it's really amazing how you speak of the faith that they had in you. But I'm curious, have you ever faced people's assumption that you don't need to work because by virtue of who you're married to? I ask because I just saw Hrithik Roshan's girlfriend Sabah Azad post about this, and it made me wonder like how shitty that must feel for someone to assume that you don't want to work just by virtue of the fact that you may not need to.
I think in my case, I got married young and had my kids young. And what I think one should clarify is that being a homemaker and a mother is still work.
Of course.
It's not work outside the home and it may not be work that is generating income. It's still work. That's number one. So I don't think that, I wasn't working. And I also feel that homemakers and mums and stay-at-home dads, I think credit must be given because if the other partner is going out and working, it's because they know that you got the shit together at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're holding fort. That's, I think, a better way to put it.
Yeah.
I think back then, I did feel like I was pushed into a corner because people were questioning why I'm sitting at home. Why is she not working? Or, why is she, like she's young and, she's a modern day girl. Why is she taken to such a conventional, conservative approach? And I felt at that time that it was slightly unfair because it was my choice. I felt like I do want to give this time to my children. I do want to do, the right thing by the duty I have as a mother, as a wife, do complete justice to that role. Having said that, it wasn't that I didn't have ambitions. I knew that this is what I have, my plate is full, and I do want to give as much time as I can. And while I was pushed in that corner for seeming very regressive, I think I probably acted out by saying things that I don't necessarily, I don't think I agree with them right now. I think I've come a long way from that. I can understand why it wasn't taken well. I can understand why people must have felt what I did. I think I was in a very vulnerable, emotional space. I think I was just trying to defend myself that, my choices are also valid. My choices are mine.
My choices.
Every time that I'm at home and I'm seeing other people working does not mean that I don't have the desire to. I just know that it's not in the next 3 or 4 years of this plan that I've made for myself. And I do regret what I said. I do regret the fact that, a lot of people were hurt by that. I think I also felt like somewhere um, it seemed like there's only one way, and I wanted to show people that there are many ways to go about life, motherhood, career, family, and juggling all of that. And to now, I think I read this very interesting thing on Instagram where they said that someone was saying that for her, she said, for me, I'd like my children not to need me but want me. And I'd still want my children to need me. But I think now my kids are a lot older. They're very excited to see what I do.
Yeah.
They're really excited to see, oh, mama, that's you. And it's so fulfilling because I did wait a long time to get here and to have this opportunity. I definitely feel that you should, both partners need to make an equal effort to making that family life work, whether one is working and the other one is looking after the family, or both are working, or both are taking turns to do either one. I like the fact that I can say, you know what, Shahid, I'm also being able to contribute to this family in this way now. I've done the other way for so long. I'm happy that I can do this. I'm happy I can get things to the kids and feel somewhere that I've got it for them, for my parents. I think it gives you a sense of self. It gives you a sense of confidence that and independence as well. I think I can understand where Sabha was coming from, because your identity shouldn't just be defined
Absolutely.
by who you are linked to and attached to in any way. And I think that's happened to me for a long time, but I don't. I think it's been a blessing for me. I think I wouldn't have had these opportunities come my way if I didn't have that. If I didn't have the support, and if I didn't, if life didn't turn out this way.
You did. Yeah, yeah. But what you said about feeling like you were in a corner, it was also you navigating fame at a very young age, and
I think you just didn't know what's the right thing to say, right? Like now I'm 30, back then I was 20.
Exactly.
So as much as at that time I felt like, and I had done maybe 1 or 2 interviews, and that was the first time I realized that, you have to be really mindful about what you say. Okay, the first one went off fine. I think that was Coffee with Karan. And
I thought you were very good.
And
You
I
really
enjoyed
held your own.
myself on that, and I was like, oh, this was really great. But you know what? You can't take things for granted. Like, you do have to be very careful about what you say, even if you're vulnerable. But there are other people who can be in an equally vulnerable space.
Absolutely. But how did fame go from overwhelming you to you just growing to embrace it like it?
I think that was a turning point for me. When this whole thing happened, it was definitely a turning point where I realized that this is the kind of backlash that can come about. It shook me a lot. I think I'm still dealing with a lot of people commenting things, even now, that I could put something up with the best of intentions, and yet something from 10 years ago is being brought back.
How did you process then?
I'm just thinking through the whole thing. It was just, there was a lot. I think sometimes I just cut off. I like to compartmentalize. Sometimes I cut off because my family is my safe space. So I can easily just drown it out and feel like nothing else is happening. And then there are times where it trickles and it really shakes you up. So over time, I think I've realized that it's better to cut off more often, but keep in check a little bit to just know exactly what's going on, so that you're not so out of everything that you're like a space cadet who doesn't know what is going on. And then again, everything you say is out of context. So I think I just turned inwards, turned to my family, turned to Shahid. I think he had been at that time doing this for like 14 years.
Yeah.
And he was a great support to me. My parents were a great support to me. My in-laws were a great support to me. And I think at the end of the day, I think everybody makes mistakes. fame is not something that is a make or break for me. I think I'm the same person, and it's just that I get to be myself in front of many more people, and more opinions come my way. I think it's the second part that you need to deal with. It's the opinions, and beyond a point, it doesn't bother me.
But I also have like a theory, which I don't even know you'll buy into fully, but I feel you've managed to make a very sweet spot for yourself as someone who's relatable yet aspirational. Because at one end, we'll hear you buy party decor for your kid's birthday party off Amazon.
I love doing that.
And at the other end, we live vicariously through your Instagram on this spectacular holiday that you've just been on. Did you realize that this was happening along the way, or was this strategized at all?
Not at all. More people, there are so many people like me. They just maybe want to put the better parts of their life up on social media. I've always been this person. I'm a great sucker for deals. Made many mistakes on those random products people sell you, and then they turn out to be such duds, and then you regret it. Bought 4 t-shirts on Zara instead of 1 because you're just trying to get it. And at the same time, you're having a nice holiday, eating some good food, clicking nice pictures. Like, there are both sides of me, I would say. And I think that exists in so many more people. I think that's why it's relatable, because a lot of people are like that. Old school is, I think, a huge part of me. Old school parties, old school dressing, old school weddings, old school celebrations. I'm a sucker for nostalgia, I think. This was definitely not curated and strategized. I think it was just me being me. Also, this was COVID, right? When I was doing this party thing, and I said, this is the time I'm going to do everything myself. Even both the kids' first birthdays, I decorated everything and I cooked the entire meal for both their first birthdays. Because I was like, first birthday, they're not going to know what's happening.
Yeah.
They're going to get so overwhelmed by so many people around. So it was just family. I did the decor, I cooked the food, made the invitations. There was no Canva back then, so I don't know how I did it. And that's just me.
But the truth is, they're also watching, and I think that this is a terrific lesson in gratitude, because I struggle to teach gratitude to my child, because I feel like they live lives of abundance, whether we like it or not.
I agree with you, because there is a part of us as parents who wants to give them what we never had.
Yes.
And give them the best of what we can.
Yes.
And then there is a part of us that expects them to be grounded. But we can't do that. We can't give them everything and expect them to be grounded. And I think one has to lead by example. Small things like not wasting food, or try the shoes and don't take the tag off, because if you don't like it, I will return it. Or, once I took my kids out for a movie and my son had a cough, so I couldn't let him have anything to drink. And after we left, he was like, but I didn't get anything to drink. I said, but you watched a movie, Are you being ungrateful for this lovely day that we had? And he was like, well, okay, yeah, it was a nice movie. So I think it's important to introduce concepts like this to the kids and lead by example. How you travel, what kind of exposure you give them. And I think I give that credit to my parents, that they kept me very grounded, and there was always a little bit that I had access to.
A treat.
Yeah, here and there. I think I never wanted for anything, but I was never spoiled. And my parents continue to give me those reminders, that how one should raise children. It's very easy to spoil kids. My mom, I keep telling her, the other day I said to her that if someone asks you, oh, your daughter is so lovely, you can say, which one? I have 3. Your grandchild is so cute. Which one? I have 6. She's got this little brood. So she always, she's there. I think grandparents have a huge impact on bringing the old school values back in and teaching them the right thing.
Provided we allow them to, from our helicopter parenting.
I do. I think it takes a village to raise a child. I encourage that. I love the fact that Dadi is there and Baba is there and Nani and Nanu and Masi and Mama and all of that. Chachu is coming and doing things. And I think he's the only one I probably say, you can't do that. But otherwise, I think the balancing act continues. It will always be there. I think I am the bad cop in general. Whether it is not giving them what they want or telling them about bedtime or getting homework done or teaching them their tables. And I think dad is the one, Papa gets to spoil them a little bit and get them cool shoes. And I'm going to be like, you cannot get them these shoes. And on the other hand, he's like, I need my kids to be like this. And I say, you can't do that if you're giving them these shoes.
The last time I spoke to Shahid, he told me about how he was a complete mess until you entered his life and fixed it. What aspects of his life have you fixed beside his skincare regime?
He had none.
Really?
He had no skincare regime.
My husband doesn't know the concept of sunscreen.
I mean, and he
but
has
I thought it would be
amazing
different
skin.
when you were married to an actor.
We both laugh at that. I expected that he has this flawless skin because he's doing so many things.
Yeah.
Turned out he was doing nothing.
I think that's the trick.
And then I have all of these things and I'm not the one on camera, and I'm so particular about everything. I don't think I fixed anything. I think we both just found a part of ourselves and started off on this journey of self-exploration and finding a side of your identity which was always there, and it just kind of develops a little more. I think Shahid's somebody who is always yearned for family around him. Started off very early, as a working adult. And so he never had that. And on the flip side, I was very fortunate to have lots of family around and be very cocooned being the youngest. And I think me and my entire family kind of overwhelmed him in the beginning that, we're so many of us. And I think he got used to that, enjoyed it, and realized he actually really likes that and he wants that.
Yeah.
And I think that pivot from being just an individual and thoughts that are around you to then being a part of a family unit, children, extended family, in-laws, cousins and things like that. I think that changes you into just becoming more giving, more accepting, more, not that he wasn't. I think he's just become a lot more gentle, loves having people over. He's not as, to himself as he
He's talked to me about days when he would just be him and his dog lonely at home after a bad day at work.
I think he always sought that. He was always seeking a lot of warmth. It just came about in this way. And I think another part of him that I've seen really evolve is his spiritual side. That is something that I've seen that he's really honed and worked on. And that is his own personal journey.
Yeah, he doesn't talk very much about it either.
That's his own personal journey, but I think it's found its way into his self-expression and his being and the way that he conducts himself so differently. I think as a person, he's, I hate to say it like this, making it seem like he was really not any of these things before. I think there's just a side of him that's come out that is just very warm, affectionate, and empathetic. He's always had that empathy, he just never had anyone to empathize with, probably.
It's probably what he meant by fixed me, because he felt whole after you came about.
Maybe also just telling him that please keep your shoes in the corner. Can you not take the same spoon and put it into the food? I'll put a serving spoon there. That's still a problem.
Small things
when that
go a long way.
gets fixed, I'll tell you.
But on the face of it, Meera, you do live a charmed life. What is the most misunderstood thing about being Meera Kapoor?
I just like to say, because I'm a big believer in God and destiny, it's a blessed life.
Touch wood.
Yeah, for sure. It's, I think I must have done something right in some life. To have this this life that I have now with my parents and my husband, my in-laws, my children, fulfilling work life, uh, a spiritual path that has kept me grounded. I just feel really, really blessed. In terms of misunderstanding, I don't blame people for misunderstanding me because I've never put my whole self out there for good reason. I don't want to do that. I think there's a part of me that I want to just keep for myself and my family.
That's what I meant by on your own terms.
Yeah, and so sometimes when it does go out in bits and pieces, it can seem incongruous that I'm not understanding this whole thing. But I think what's possibly misunderstood is, that I'm some snobby girl who doesn't care, and I can see from another person's point of view why they must think like that, or I look down upon working mothers. I think that is the most misunderstood thing about me. I am a mother first. Working came next for me, and that understanding of that whole concept also came to me once I was in it myself. I think the misunderstanding that came about at that time, I think it's about time I'm forgiven for that, because life comes a full circle and you make mistakes and you learn from them. Uh, Other than that, I am who I am, and I think what people take from me is on them, because I like to be my true self, my real self, as authentic as possible. And I don't want to have some carefully curated image. I don't want to make you think that this is what I stand for and this is what I believe in. It's just me. And if you relate to it somewhere along the way, I think that's great.
Yeah. I think it's awfully cool to be able to say on camera that you feel like you made a mistake as well. And I do think that you should be very much forgiven.
I think it's been a long way, and I think it's been on my mind, honestly, for a very long time. I was like, it must have touched a nerve somewhere that so many people got upset. I'm sure there are so many things that I get upset about when people say certain things, and I'm like, that's not cool. But you give the benefit of the doubt, where it must have come from somewhere, some vulnerability, some chink somewhere. So I guess that's what it is.
How are you managing the juggle of you were always a working mother, but now a working mother that also has to go into the office every once in a while? How's that balance been like for you?
I think it's been a slow progression. So it's been a little easier for me in terms of pace. I have a great support system in the Didis who have been there with me for a very long time. Misha's Didi was my Didi when I was growing up. So,
no way.
Yeah. So
there's another interview here on how to hold on to a Didi. Ask another mom.
You just gotta love them, really. That's what I believe in. I think, everything else comes secondary. They need to feel
also
like
acknowledging the support, Meera. I think it's so nice of you to also just talk about it, because we don't hear that
and
very
I think
often.
my mom-in-law living in the city, living very close by, that's really great. I'm somebody who gets the basics right in terms of organization. So Saturday, Sunday, I try not to be at work. I like to plan my days a couple of days in advance. So I know what the kids are up to, being in touch with them all the time. There will be times when they feel like, Mama, why are you not here? I was man of the match today. And I make up for that later. But I think I also have a great support system in my team at Matrix, because they have seen me grow, and they knew when I came into this, look, she's a mom with 2 kids. So we have to plan this accordingly and work things out accordingly. And the slow progression has really helped, because now actually my kids are old enough and they're in school and they have, a couple of classes here and there. So I think things have just fallen into place. It's just worked out in a way that when those initial years were there, I was there with them all the time. And now they are busy and I'm busy at the same time.
They don't need you, they want you.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I love that your Insta bio says keep it real. but it's slightly ironic because that's possibly a place where we may be guilty of projecting the most. What helps you keep it real? How do you deal
just
with
being.
vanity on Instagram?
I've never been somebody who's been so overly conscious of ye angle and woo and blah 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 whatever. I think it just comes naturally to me. I don't know any other way. I don't know any other way. I mean, now, okay, fine, maybe if I'm doing an ad or something, I'll be a little particular.
You know your angle?
I try to do both sides. I don't want to get
have
stuck
bad
up.
angles.
No, there is definitely a side I prefer, but I don't know it any other way except to keep it real. I don't, like I said, I will always communicate in a very real way, as authentic as possible, and there's a part of me that I keep to myself. I think you can get carried away very easily with your happiness and your vulnerabilities by oversharing, and I like to just keep that little bit to myself. Like I think that's a Virgo thing, there's just something you never really know about them.
Yeah, and that's what keeps it exciting, I want to say. Also,
It does. I think there's a part of me that the people I love really know. I mean, if we were without phones and cameras, there's so many things that are different facets of my personality that come out here and there. But not everything needs to be on Instagram. Nevertheless, everything I do put up on Instagram is very much me. I wouldn't want to do it any other way. I don't see it any other way.
yeah, no, that is a sweet spot, like I said, of relatability and aspiration. And I think that's very exciting. I decided that since I have you and your skin geekiness to nerd out on, I'm going to ask you to pick some products from a kind that you think
Okay,
I should use.
everything. But let's build a routine for you.
Let's bring.
So typically one would ask you, what is your skin type? But the thing with a kind is it's skin type agnostic.
Ooh,
And a kind is all about listening to your skin. So how's your skin feeling right now?
dryish.
Dryish.
Yeah.
I don't see you have any acne. You actually have flawless skin.
Flawless is far from it, but acne isn't a problem. Pigmentation is.
Okay, pigmentation, fine. I don't see any of that, but okay. That's what you want, that's what you'll get. So I would start with the hydrating cleanser.
Okay.
That's clean slate.
Okay.
Ceramides. So we have three ranges: build, balance, and defense, all centered around the skin barrier. Skin barrier is the foundation of a kind.
Okay.
This is to build it. So
Okay.
everything in the build range has ceramides.
Okay.
So that's a nice hydrating
So you're
cleanser.
washing twice a day,
Morning, evening.
morning, evening.
Yeah.
Okay, got
So
it.
that's a cleanser. I would then go in for, not get even, the Bright Idea Radiance Serum.
Okay.
So this is for your pigmentation, spots. I don't see any of it, but you want it, so we're giving it to you.
It's there. It's how your skin feels, remember?
Yes.
Okay, so how does one go in with this? Just
Couple of pumps, maybe two. It's a very light consistency. Just dab it all over your face and it gets absorbed in like 6 seconds.
okay.
So it's pretty fast.
So you go in with a serum.
That's your moisturizer. My favorite.
This
It's
is
the
your
On
favorite?
Cloud 9 moisturizer. Ceramides, peptides, all the good stuff. And most importantly, it has probiotics.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
you would have heard of
interesting.
like probiotics for your gut.
Gut.
But if you're trying to balance, the skin barrier and, work on building the building blocks of your skin, the outermost layer of your skin, you're giving it probiotics to just maintain skin health and the integrity of the skin. Like it's like you're working on the gut lining, you're working on your skin.
Skin line. Yeah. Okay, that's very interesting.
And this one's also very lightweight and hydrating. I wouldn't think that you'd require a second swipe because, it's intensely hydrating but very lightweight. At night, you could go in with two. Sometimes I like to do that.
Okay, so this is a Meera Kapoor favorite.
Fave. Absolute fave. And then I'd give you sunscreen because if you want that pigmentation to not come back, you need the sunscreen.
To not come in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the
Yeah.
No Shade Sunscreen Primer.
And how's this different?
This is the sunscreen stick. So this is for reapplication.
Reapplication.
So that is what it looks like. It's
On
a
top of
twist up.
makeup.
On top of makeup, doesn't make the makeup bleed. So if I was to okay, I'm going to put it
Oh.
hard. And you still can't
Yeah.
kind of feel it.
But it's there.
It's
Yeah.
there. And it's SPF 50 PA++.
Look at you geeking out.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I think all the chemistry lessons I did in school have come to good use.
Amen to that. Thank you for talking to me.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to try all of this.
Thank you for having me, for listening to me.
Thank you.